Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you are all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and what a day of Call of Duty we have just had. This was an absolutely remarkable one. The sparks were flying all over the timeline and in a number of these matchups, but certainly not the result I was expecting. Very intrigued to hear your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Gearing up for a pretty incredible championship Sunday, not the teams in the finals that I was expecting to be seeing. Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much for doing that indeed. Let's just hop right into this then. So many great matches today. First of all, Formal says the following, looking to get back into it, of course, after defeat yesterday in Game 5 Round 11 fashion to the Dallas Empire. It starts off with LAG versus New York Subliners. Subliners looking to bounce back from that 3-0 defeat they had to OpTic Chicago. They, of course, had a pretty good result fighting their way through the losers bracket. Here, they come up against a very resilient, of course, Los Angeles Grillers that we have seen so far. However, Subliners turn up the heat. Checkmate Hardpoint seems to be a map which very much favours them right now, and Diamond Con has been phenomenal, honestly, all tournament long. Especially in this map as well, you can see right here, the 1.29, 31 in 24 to close out this map. Then we move on to the Search and Destroy, and Mac Melts has a very nice ace. Honestly, like, all the cylinders on Subliners were firing right here, but LAG, they are very good at Search and Destroy. Here on Miami, they do manage to close it out, tied it up at a 1-1 series. Then though, we go into the control, and this is where Subliners manage to turn up the heat once again. Really interesting team, to be honest, Subliners, right? They go on like a crazy win streak of maps like, during the Super Week. Then they go in and like lose several maps in a row, like they get kind of destroyed by OpTic Chicago. Then when they're back on form again, they're absolutely dominating, right? I can't really work this team out. Do they have a load of firepower that maybe isn't quite there on paper, at least when you look at this team from the top down, or do they just have to sometimes click? And when they do click, obviously they have a lot of firepower, don't get me wrong, but when they click, this team is like a freight train, right? And it's very difficult to stop. As you can see right here, the Garrison control, a very clean 3-0 indeed. Subliners just romp through this one. Then they go into the map 4 as well, and they close this one out as well. The series tilts in the favour on here, on this Garrison control. Then going into game 4, they are hyped, of course. They take it in a 3-1 fashion. So Subliners continue on in the tournament pretty much as expected. LAG, of course, after a pretty damn good result, beating Los Angeles Thieves yesterday, unexpectedly for sure, they go up against Subliners. You can see Clayster here, very hyped indeed. Not as hyped as he would get, I'm sure, though, later in the day. Many fireworks that happened in those later matches. So LAG finished 5th through 6th, definitely better than expected, but Subliners continue on in the tourney. Grillers actually made more for one major than they did the entirety of last season, Crones point out on the timeline right here. And this is the vibe. Clayster and Asim getting very hyped, especially for their matchup later in the day up against OpTic Chicago or Los Angeles Thieves, as it was at the time. This was the next matchup of the day, then a rematch from the Kickoff Classic, where OpTic 3-0'd LA Thieves at the time. This match was certainly closer, but very interestingly, Garrison Hardpoint has been the first map in a number of series OpTic have played so far this year, and well, they've had a very difficult time, honestly. I think they lost to LAG, they lost to Florida, they lost to Dallas, all on Garrison Hardpoint. So this time they decide to completely switch it up, go down a different route, and actually play Crossroads instead. This is a map that they usually just auto-ban in the veto process, but well, this time they actually played it. Definitely a map that I don't seem to like, but it works off right here. They win map 1 up against Los Angeles Thieves, brick by brick, as our COD League say, 250 to 190. So honestly, early on, LA Thieves are winning this map, but OpTic come back and finish the job off. I think Formal does a fantastic job right here on this P3 to close out the game. Then we go into the Search and Destroy, though, and here we go again for Los Angeles Thieves. The other day against LAG, they went up 5-2 in a map, and they threw away the advantage. This time around, they almost do the same thing. It goes all the way to a round 11, 1 versus 1, Dashy versus TJ. If Dashy hops it, maybe he gets it, but TJ's too smart, man. He probably would have got the job done in the end. And well, he shoulder peaks just the right amount of time to just about clutch him at that game 5 or that game 2, round 11 at 1 versus 1. But yeah, certainly was a close one. OpTic could certainly have won that map, but then we go into the control that OpTic certainly do win. This has been a game mode where they've just been so good so far this season. I'm pretty sure they didn't lose one until we're going to talk about that final series of the day in just a second here. But well, Dashy goes off on this map. They take this map, go up 2-1 in the series, and then they close it out on the final hardpoint as well. So Thieves, they drop a 3-1, and this time at the Kickoff Classic, it was a 3-0, so putting up a better fight. But certainly OpTic were on fire this series. All the cylinders were firing, as I talked about with Subliners earlier. That was obviously going to be a great matchup on paper. Formal and Scump had an especially good couple of maps to finish off the job right here. Plus 28 over the course of the series. Scump with a 1.17, Formal with a 1.27, and well, Los Angeles Thieves are no more. Maybe some questions for them to answer going forwards in, well, of course, at the end of the stage 1, going into stage 2, what their roster looks like and what shakeups they can potentially make going forwards. A 5th through 6th finish for them, $20,000, but well, maybe somewhat disappointing given that they were poised, to be honest, to take the first place seed in the Group A. That didn't end up happening as it turns out. Slasher says, look, our fundamentals are non-existent right now, completely frustrating, and some other things that Slasher had to say on the timeline that we will probably talk about in tomorrow's video, but plenty to discuss in the final series of the day. Subliners versus OpTic, and this was the big one, right? This is Clayster back versus OpTic. We talked about this rematch from a few days ago, right? The fact that OpTic OpTic kind of destroyed them a few days ago. Dashy had that crazy 2.13 KD throughout the series. We talked about how Clayster kind of, fired some trash talk back in January. Seemed like maybe it was backfiring somewhat. But Clayster was certainly out for revenge right here. And it was incredible to watch, right? So Subliners versus OpTic. This was the winner of this series, just to make it very clear. The winner of this match goes on to Championship Sunday to face, so there's top 3 teams. Dallas and FaZe are already guaranteed top 3 because they are both in the winners bracket. So this matchup was an elimination match. The winner will get to top 3, facing the loser tomorrow of Dallas versus Atlanta FaZe, with a chance to still, of course, win the tournament. So big matchup, of course, and well, it doesn't get too much better than Clayster versus OpTic, especially an elimination match. Well, this was just phenomenal stuff. But one of the big dramas was the whole DiamondCon snaking situation. So RC's tweets are out right here. So OpTic decided to go back to Crossroads again in the game number 1, and New York seemed very prepared for it indeed. DiamondCon was just phenomenal this map, and there was a time I think they were up by, well, several points. You'll probably see the clip right here in a second, but DiamondCon is pretty blatantly snaking over towards the tires. Now look, do I think they'd have won the map anyway? Probably yes, but certainly this is what we've been talking about the last few days. Should it be GA'd? Clayster said, I think it was on Zuma's Flank podcast, that look, it's tough to actually GA, so just abuse it to your heart's content, and clearly he's told his guys on the rest of the team to do just that, right? Because that's certainly what they do right here. And as well, Arcitys says, DiamondCon snaked OpTic, he is bad, he is cancelled now, says aBeZy. Joey says, look, I'm deactivating right after that map, what if I'm DiamondCon, given the replies he is going to get. This was the clip right here, they're already up by 100 at this point, but as you can see, he gets a couple of kills and he's just completely snaking over towards this tires area you can see right here, and doesn't necessarily need to, right? Like, he's in a position where he doesn't necessarily need to be snaking. They're already up by 100 points, but the fact that he did it anyway definitely ruffled some feathers, I'm sure, as some OpTic fans know, well, his mentions were not exactly spectacular. I can totally understand, technically it's GA's, I can totally understand the frustration, but at the end of the day, this map was going the Subliners direction anyway, I would argue. So OpTic actually outslayed by 4 kills. Again, we talked about it yesterday, OpTic's kind of traditional hardpoint situation from a few years ago, when they ended up doing pretty well in the slaying department, but just can't close it out right. They actually outslay by 4 kills, but still lose 250 to 155. That's pretty, well, I suppose that's pretty worrying. Then we go into the search and destroy, and this is a garrison search, which I don't think either team had played, and well, completely dominant for the New York Subliners. DiamondCon continued his rampage. This start, I mean, he started 5-0. I think he finished like 9-1 or something crazy. They were just gifting him kills, to be honest. I was really confused. I mean, a 2 versus 4 as well. Like, it looked like OpTic might have a chance to get back into it. At least they win their defense and they have a chance to win one of the offenses to get back into this map, but they completely throw away a 2 versus 4. Subliners go up 4-1, and that's pretty much game over at this point, given how heavy defense is favored on this map. And then one of the final rounds, you can see right here, this is when it was 1-4. They just decide to fly out of green and try and challenge DiamondCon. He just gets an absolute 3-piece, and this is not something you would typically see from the best search and destroy team in the game. And well, clearly OpTic don't quite carry that crown at the present time, as Gunless says. That is the I give up, get me to the next map play call, right? When you're just like, okay, I don't know what to do. It's basically over. Let's just let's just fly out and lose the rounds so we can get to this map 3, which I'm not really something you want to be doing, right? So obviously that search and destroy did not go their way. A 6-1 situation, and Clayster is absolutely fired up after this map and takes that momentum into the final map of the day, that being checkmate control here. Finally, I mean, this has been a game mode that we talked about earlier. OpTic haven't lost all season long, I don't believe, and well, this is a crazy moment where New York Subliners managed to win an offense, but then it also looks like OpTic are going to win an offense back, and well, seems like they're going to clutch up. They bring the ice to this final round, but well, this was just remarkable. You can see right here, 22 lives to 13 lives, but it got much, much tighter than that. We saw yesterday a 7 versus 2 comeback. It then comes down to an 11 versus 4 situation, and well, it doesn't go their way. I mean, this is a collapse, so we've seen a lot of collapses so far. If there was one team I didn't really expect it out of, it was going to be OpTic Chicago. They choked the 11 versus 4 advantage in control. Clayster is absolutely hyped out of belief. I mean, it seems out of his chair. DiamondCon's kind of chilling, but he's actually getting kind of hyped after this one. I mean, the OpTic guys in disbelief, right? If they win that, they at least give themselves a chance. There was a reverse sweep yesterday. Dallas already reverse swept New York Subliners already in the Super Week, right? So certainly OpTic Chicago could have done it. This was their opportunity, and well, they completely throw it away. I mean, remarkable clutch factor, you can argue, from the Subliners as well to make this work, but well, not something you expect OpTic Chicago to throw away, and a 3-0 defeat to the New York Subliners, having just 3-0'd them the other day. Not something I was sitting here expecting to be talking to you guys about tonight, and this is what Clayster has to say as a result of it. He just pops off on the timeline, and well, understandably so, right? Given, I suppose, the vitriol he may have been receiving over these last several days. Never seen a bigger breakdown. Beat OpTic Chicago 3-0. GG's to them. Live in 4K. Just, the collapse they had in that control round. He's basically just laughing at OpTic here on the timeline. And well, as he says in reply, we talked about this the other day, right? Dashy's kind of clap back trash talk when he destroyed Clayster in the earlier series, but Clayster gets his revenge with a bomb right here. Interesting to see how I do without Zia or Tiny Terrors, and this guy's got 2 of the best COD players of all time on his side. So Clay absolutely frying on the timeline, and well, a couple of comments really from the OpTic guys. Unacceptable, blatant mistakes out of us. GG's to New York, gotta tip it, and you gotta say fair play, right? A 3-0 out of nowhere. They just become that indomitable force, it seems, once again, the Subliners just rolling through everyone, and they go on to the championship Sunday in a pretty remarkable fashion. And maybe some questions to be talked about OpTic over these coming days after the major concludes. What have they got to do going forward to, well, have a better result? Because they, of course, the Game 5 Round 11 series defeat to Dallas Empire, the reigning world champions, that is certainly acceptable. This series, well, as Envoy says, this is pretty unacceptable, like, to lose in this fashion. Yeah, not exactly ideal. As Formal says, so frustrating to play so well against LA Thieves and then play so badly against New York Subliners when you'd expect the momentum to be continuing. Very frustrating indeed. And well, OpTic Chicago finished 4th place at the major, $40,000 earnings, but certainly not the tournament that they were looking for. So, Subliners in crazy scenes will go onto the championship Sunday, as I said. Tomorrow's schedule will be Dallas versus Atlanta FaZe first up. The loser of that will then play New York Subliners. The winner of that will then re-meet the winner of the winners finals in the grand finals, and they will be your stage 1 champions, the winner of that in the best of 9, I believe, maybe with a 1-0 advantage to the team from the upper bracket if it works the same way as it did for the World Championships this time round. Honestly, unbelievable scenes. I'm really intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube because I know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well, and I'm growing the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care, and I will see you next time.
5's remaining for OpTic now. 5 streak.
This was a 4v11, Miles. 4v11.
4v11. Clay still finding kills. No one on OpTic can get a kill. No one can buy a kill. Clay gets another. Seems good for now. Mac finds another kill. There is less than 20 seconds remaining. You have to find something. OpTic can't find a single kill. Dashy finally breaks the spell. 10 seconds remaining. You have to make the contest. You got to go forward. Almost got to check these corners. Scump now taking the top lane. There's the first kill. The second, maybe, if he can grab it. No contest. Still 2 seconds on the clock. You got to go, baby. You got to go. NYSL. They land it. They stick the landing and they complete the 3-0. That is unprecedented.
Dude, ice in this kid's veins.